Hi everybody, welcome back to another episode of Garage Studio Modelers. I'm Dave Forrest, and this is my good friend
Harvey Lowe.
And in today's episode, Harvey's finished
my
his Sheridan.
Yes, and we're going to do a wrap-up and a summary of just the overview of the weathering I did and some of the modifications.
Nice.
Right? It's been a long journey, and my apologies to the group. You know, our channel, we do this as fun whenever we can. But like any model I do, whatever I start, I do finish.
Well, so what happened to you on this happens to me a lot, right?
Yeah.
Where you get partway through a build and you just lose interest in it.
You do,
right?
you do.
You
move on to other projects, this and
something
that.
else grabs your attention, right?
And then I get my mojo back, and then I find that as you do it, and you're getting some weathering on it, your mojo comes back.
But this was, what, 2.5 years in the making?
Oh my God, was it? Yeah, it
might
have been. Yeah, because of COVID.
We started this before the pandemic,
because
right?
of COVID.
Yeah,
right.
That jammed everything up.
That jammed everything up. But yeah, no, towards the end of it, it was really a nice journey, finishing yet something else. So we'll talk about that in a summary in just a moment. Okay, so we're finally finished, and we'll have some better shots of this that I'll send to Robert that he can flash on the screen. But just a summary, this was a kit that Dave gave me for my birthday before COVID. It's the Tamiya 135th Sheridan again, and it's finally done. Now, just going over again, you've seen all the episodes. I did do a lot of modifications to this.
Yes, you did.
I you know me, I just... Yeah. Remember I said to you, I just can't do a Sheridan out of the box, right?
Well, and you had a specific vehicle in mind, yeah?
I did, and what a great segue. So this is a book by Sabbath Publications that I'm using right now, this great publication on the Sheridan. And right on the cover, in fact, is this vehicle. You see here? This vehicle here. And I didn't put there's some sort of... sunscreen there with a tarp or so. I didn't put that on. But this one has this heavy mounted twin 50 and twin 30s on it. And in this book, in this great book, which was my primary reference, they actually show more detailed shots, right, of this vehicle. And I thought, well, I like to model a vehicle in particular. Look at this one.
Yeah,
this one's like...
That's perfect.
That's perfect. So I tried to replicate this vehicle... not with this stowage exactly in the same place, because they could have changed.
Yeah,
but I
sure.
wanted to kind of replicate this vehicle as it might have been in these photos. And I'll tell you the rationale why I did that, given the weathering that I chose. In fact, there's a picture in here that shows the rear of the vehicle, which also gives me an idea as to... By the way, here's the color profile.
Oh,
right?
So you've got a
There's a color profile,
nice.
Yeah. Now, oddly, this color profile doesn't have... the field modified stowage rack on the back, which clearly shows in the black and white photos. Here's another. This is a really good photo here. It shows you all the stowage.
Yeah.
So with based on
and it was even the photo that showed it without the like here, right? This just shows it without the sunscreen.
Oh, that's a different one.
Was that a different
That's
one?
a single 50.
Oh, right.
This one's a single 50. But there's again. I thought of doing it, but I thought it would cover the detail, right? But
that's the vehicle there, right?
That's the vehicle. I believe that's it here. No, that's a different one.
That's a different one again.
That's a different one again. That's a different one. That's the one here.
That's the one there. Okay.
Right, and this I can't find it now, but in here there's...
All these Sheridans look the same to me.
Here it is. Here. So This is how I did the rear. Okay, now the stowage isn't exactly the same, but I did this. This looks like it's a field modded stowage bin at the back. So that's what I did here. And now... So I added that,
That's
right?
great.
And I talked about that in an episode. I added this, which is the resin products from, what's that company?
FC Trend?
Yes, that's it.
Model Trend. FC Model Trend.
FC Model Trends, which is made for the Sheridan. So I added that. I replaced the barrel with a metal barrel. The Tamiya one's not bad.
The gun shield's from FC Model Trend as well. Yeah?
Yes, it is. There you go. You beat me to it. This one as well. Now, with the FC, the guns were very delicate. I don't know if you find 3D products, they're very fragile.
Yeah, they don't... The earlier... I have the same problem with some of the... Like, I'm working on a Tiger, and I'm using some of the old... Like, the first generation 3D printed tools.
Yes.
And, they're bent.
Yes.
They're crooked.
And they're very, very brittle.
Yeah. So you can't really... so I have to figure out how to climb. But yeah, I've had the same problem. So with gun barrels, especially. Now, I think some of the newer stuff, if I look at the T-Rex Like that's a higher quality 3D print.
I noticed that.
And that stuff is gorgeous.
I
And
noticed
it's a little bit more expensive, but it's worth it.
Well, I had exactly the same problem with this.
Yeah.
So this was also FC, the twin 50s, but I had to literally chop the barrels off. The barrels I took from a spare parts box for 50 cal because they were bent and you couldn't drill a hole.
And you're going to see that.
You're going to see it.
Yeah.
These 30s are from Academy because they just wouldn't work. They're too brittle.
Yeah.
This part here, by the way, folks, if you do, I don't know if it was my batch of FC models, but the paint wouldn't stick to it. Like it just kept coming, and then I had to wash it in.
Oh, is it like maybe?
Yeah, it could be
wouldn't be a
release
release.
fluid.
Well, because there's no release, right? It's 3D.
It just wouldn't stick, and I had to put primer, and then I had to put a lacquer over it.
So I don't have a lot of experience with 3D, so.
I finally got it to stick.
Yeah.
Again, brittle, very brittle. It's got the twin boxes there.
Yeah.
One of them broke when I was clipping it off, and I had to fix it.
Yeah, removing stuff from that's an art in itself, right?
This was okay. The stowage bin was fine, and it fit really nice.
But it's a mesh bin.
Yeah.
And there was some of the mesh was kind of filled in, right?
You can actually see it. So
and I remember giving you crap saying, Harvey, that's a lazy paint job.
Yeah, see, look. You're right, look.
Yeah.
See?
You can see it.
You can see it.
But it's not. It was an imperfection in the.
It's an imperfection in the.
But you don't see it because
No.
that's what you said. You said nobody's going to see it because the stowage is going to be on top.
It's going to be on the bottom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there were some. Yeah, you get these products, but you're right. The first gen.
Yeah.
It's pretty brittle, right? Now with all my models, I like them moving because I like to play with them. You know what I mean? Like the boom. Anyways, the sounds. Anyways. So, we digress. So, I added the guns, the twin guns, these twin guns, the shield, FC, and scratch-built rack at the back. And the stowage is from Legend. Legend does a Vietnam Sheridan set. And you remember the episode with Dave Brown, these ration boxes.
Yeah, I love those ration boxes.
Yeah, these are ration boxes.
I got to get some.
Yeah, they're really nice. Now,
on the hunt.
Dave sprays. I remember he mentioned he sprays beige or something over to dilute them. I apply a wash. I apply a raw umber wash to these from Winsor Newton. So that's what I did here. The Legend stuff.
That looks really good. Actually.
Yeah, the Legend. You know the Legend stowage. All I did for that is again a layering of acrylics. Pretty quick.
Yeah, that looks really like the wash. I think both. If I were to do it, I would because he uses that to knock back the print. Right?
Yes, he knocks back the print.
Scale.
Yes.
But I think that in combination with a nice wash. I mean, I love the texture and the kind of the depth on that.
Then I dry brush.
That's really nice.
I still dry brush. Do you still dry brush?
On occasion.
I do. I like it.
Although I don't really admit it.
I dry brush this. I don't know. I like dry brushing. I don't know why it's getting a bad rap. Tell us, readers, why. I did it. I do it all the time.
Yeah, because it has that. Like it was an easy way to make details pop. An easy, lazy way of making details pop. But I think there's still a place. I agree.
Look,
it's subtle.
It's subtle in the back here.
Subtle.
Now here's a trick. I take the base color, which in a previous episode I mentioned is Tamiya, right? You get the mix then. But the Tamiya paint that I used on this, I mix it with titanium white from Winsor Newton, an oil paint. And you could say, well, how can you mix an oil paint with Tamiya acrylic? Well, it does work. And what it does is it takes the titanium white and it kind of makes it close to the color. It's got that paste because it's an oil, and I use that to dry brush.
And I'm assuming you did that on this duffel bag back here too.
Good eye.
Yeah, it looks good.
I did do it on the duffel. Now, dry brushing uniform, I still do, just to bring out. See here.
Yeah, I think it's a tool in your repertoire, right? You can use it.
It is.
Accordingly.
Here's one here. I did it slightly here. I still do the layering with acrylics. I haven't tried oils on uniforms. I haven't done that yet. But you know, you just give it a little more pop, and the oil mixed in with the acrylic, it just adds that color that's close match to the base color.
Nice.
So the only other things I added were, as the things I mentioned before, was you notice that the Sheridan kit, and this is the kit on the cover, doesn't have that front. I don't know, what is it? It's a plate. It's an armor plate that flips up.
It's like a I don't know, it was a grenade shield or,
yeah,
or sort of a mine shield or a rocket shield, right?
And it doesn't have the mesh. You know, the Tamiya kit includes the square mesh up front.
Yeah, it was an RPG shield.
Yeah, that's an RPG. It doesn't have it, so I left it off. Now, if you're going to leave it off, you have to scratch build these two little vents because they're not included, right? And I kind of used my eye to see, because I actually couldn't find photos of the sizing, and I just did it by eye. It's just styrene. So I had to add these, right? It also didn't have the mud guards. It wore off on the front, but they did have them on the back.
Right.
So I tried to replicate the model as per the photos of that vehicle, which is body count. There's the decals. And the decals were from Bison for the 135th Vietnam Sheridan. Right, nice decals. They laid on perfectly. They even give you some decals for the ammo boxes.
From Bison or from Echelon?
Oh, sorry, Echelon.
Echelon, right?
Echelon.
Yeah, Echelon decals are gorgeous.
Yeah,
they're
my mistake.
really nice.
They are really. They laid down really
they're
nice.
The best. They're the best armored modeler decals going.
Yeah, they worked well with both the micro sol set.
They're very thin. Very very like minimal carrier film.
Yep.
Like they're really good.
I tested them with Solva set. Worked well with that too.
Yeah. Every set that comes out, I get just because you never know.
And as Dave mentioned, I use the bottom to practice. Now, I really struggled with the weathering because you see a lot of the Vietnam vehicles with that red Vietnam dust. You know, when I look at the pictures of this vehicle, and I know they're black and white because there are no color ones in here, I decided not to because I see a lot of the Vietnam vehicles also traveled along roads and they got dusty, and that's what I chose.
I was admiring the dust on the road wheels and the tracks.
Yeah, they're different.
Yeah, it looks good.
Everything's different, and it's subtle, and you can see I used an airbrush buff. When I finished the last episode, I was showing you how to weather with the powders. So this is buff.
Yeah, so this whole like the streaking, little splash effects here, the little stain, like that looks great.
I added those, after,
really, really nice.
And they're from AK MIG products. I do find that's where you do have a bit of contrast, right?
It's funny because this is a hard vehicle to weather because the olive drab is dark.
It
right,
dies.
like it. So it's how do you make it pop? But you succeed. It looks great.
Yeah, and I wanted the subtle. Now I know some guys would use. I've seen them. They use a lot of the beige sand powders to get that, which is great. I think it looked great. But I just decided to do a much more subtle, not as much contrasty dust road effects. I was quite happy with the buff that I did. Just you can see it on the bottom there.
Looks really
and you
good.
do that after the decals.
Yeah, layering. Yeah.
These are oil streaks, and I also used some acrylics, just to mix them. This part was difficult. You can see there's a bit of everything going on, and the deck. It's kind of hard to see, but you see there's a feeler cap there with oil and grease spots.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I added that. I've probably got to go with an airbrush with some flats because I know there's still some glossy spots here and there. Now the figures are Tamiya, but I cheated here. I cheated with it. I can't enter this model in a contest. You know why? Because I didn't do the whole model myself.
Oh, where?
Well, I was in Singapore and I had lunch and dinner with Calvin 10. Hey, Calvin. And he gave me these two heads. He said, nice. Here, Harvey, take these. And I thought,
I was admiring them. I said, that's really kind of beyond Harvey's capabilities.
Calvin's like, yeah, thumbs up. So he just gave them to me just as a gift. And I said, I'll use them. And
you know what? You could enter it if you just enter it as a vehicle. You could. Right?
I'm just teasing.
But
these are very nice, custom from Calvin 10.
Nice.
Master figure modeler.
Beautiful.
I did the body, right? So I did that part. He only did the heads. Okay. So now the little things here. I put wire here just to. When you put stowage on, it's got to be held in place. Otherwise, you're going to get dinged.
Now, is that wire, or is it meant to represent rope?
It's tiny wire I got from Michael's.
I got it, okay.
Probably get it from Hobby Lobby, too. And the only other things I added were also, I think, FC, the headlamp things.
Okay.
Other than that, the kit's pretty well out of box.
Nice kit.
It's all
a newer Tamiya kit.
Went together like fabulous. Now, just a note when you're dealing, we talked about this. Olive drab is a very difficult. And I experimented with washes, and then I thought, you know what, let's, instead of the contrasty appearance, let's go the more subtle, as I see in a lot of these black and white pictures. And subtle's not easy to do on an olive drab. It kind of like dies.
Yeah.
Right?
But it looks good.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the variation. I mean, the lighting in here isn't great. There's so many shadows and stuff in here, but
there is.
But it.
But if you look at the side and the light,
I'm sure like if you got that in a proper photo booth.
Yeah, which I will send to Robert, and he'll have it in the show.
The pictures, like especially on the side there, I think that's great. Like where you did the little buff and the streaking, like right here, like that looks beautiful.
Yeah, like you see the splatters, right, and in the back here, see the splatters in the back there.
Yeah, just a few here and there,
just
strategically placed.
Yep. Now I kept the turret cleaner, and you'll notice that. It's kind of like a semi-gloss I used on it. It's a lot cleaner than the bottom. Just,
Yeah, because the dirt goes down.
The dirt goes down, right? And the only problem I had was the figure didn't quite get into the hatch with the guns, so I had to kind of modify it. And he's holding a pair of binoculars. Well, he was supposed to be manning a single 50, but I put binoculars on because I couldn't, without to modify the arms.
Right.
But I did struggle with this. I really struggled with this. Not only with it mentioned earlier with the paint not sticking, but it barely fit. And when you're working with 3D parts, trimming and cutting them is extremely difficult.
Yeah, you got to.
They're fragile.
You got to you got to think real hard when you use a nipper to cut them.
Oh yeah.
You know, like they can't they're it's almost as if when you're using a nipper, there can't be anything else holding the part to the tree.
That's right.
Because it creates this. It pops off and it breaks, and if there's a fragile part, that'll snap out.
And then you clip it too close, and there's a crack.
But if it's free and it's a small thing, like if it's completely free, then you can use it to clean up. But I'll use a razor saw.
You prefer a razor saw?
Yeah. The only problem though is like some of these 3D prints, like they create these gates and these things to protect.
Yes.
And they get in the way.
They do because of the 3D printing process.
Yeah. So you gotta and then you gotta try and cut through, and it's just sometimes they make it too hard to remove.
It's a catch-22 because if you do the 3D design, you need those support posts in your design.
Yeah.
Right? But I find that the older resin, like the way they used to do it, you could cut it, you could sand it. You know, it's not as fine for finer pieces. But you'll find that a lot of the newer 3D resin kits, even 35th scale, because I have a few, they're also extremely fragile.
Yeah. Like and sometimes you still see the layers.
Yes, you do.
And I notice I have an elephant set of details for tiger tanks, and like there's a fire extinguisher on it, and I find the fire extinguishers that I have from Panzer, which are traditional resin pour, are better quality than the 3D ones.
Right, I found that too. Yeah,
fire extinguishers they are the best.
You really are kudos to T-Rex.
Yeah, I think they.
Now, what do they do? What's in a summary? What range do they? Is it mostly World War II? I've never used their product.
Yeah, it's mostly 35th scale, mostly German. They have some Allied stuff. Like they have a bunch of nice sets for the new Tamiya, not Conqueror, but Comet. Not Comet.
Oh, the British. Is it the Comet?
It's not the Comet.
I don't do Allied armor a lot.
Or maybe it is the Comet. I don't know. Yeah, it is the Comet. It is the Comet. Yeah. So they have a bunch of nice sets for that, like the mantle. They have all of the detail sets. So as new kits come out, they produce for it. They also do some 16th scale stuff.
Really?
Which is crazy expensive for 16th scale.
16th, yes. You know, I haven't done an episode on one of my old 16th. I did a 16th Panther by Tamiya. At the time, it was maybe 10 years ago. A jerry can would cost like $50.
Yeah, well, like they get a set of tracks, like $300 for a 3D for a larger one.
Yes, I did.
It's crazy.
I did a Panzer III
and
I did a Panther. 16th, it's okay, but I prefer 35th. It's too big.
And not to digress too much, but we will. So I don't know. I just find the quality. Let's say, for example, like of the Tiger I'm building. So there's a bunch of spare tracks on the side of the turret, and so I use some of the T-Rex tracks for that, and I look at that and I think, well, do I use the T-Rex tracks for the running gear? And the thought process I came to is because I'm going to put a lot of mud on them, you're going to hide all that gorgeous detail.
Right.
So use it for things that you're going to see, or use it for low weathered vehicles.
I did. Yeah, you showed me those.
Right, because otherwise you're paying all this money, right? And that,
right.
they're gorgeous,
True.
but if you're covering it up with too much mud and you're not going to see the detail of it.
Now the tracks for your Stug were what?
Out of the kit.
Out of the kit, right?
Yeah.
So you're covering it with mud.
Yeah.
I did see your tracks. You showed me last night. Even the mounting.
Yeah, the 3D clamps. Yeah.
Clamps.
Yeah.
Just gorgeous.
Yeah.
So the advantage, I guess, of 3D is you get that intricacy and detail, but the fragility. Now you're saying T-Rex is a better quality resin?
Yeah, it's the best quality resin I've seen. No, I haven't seen all of them, so but so far it's.
Well, I mean, not to knock FC. I mean, I'm sure that their newer stuff, everybody improves, right, with the resin.
The thing is that frustrates me about FC is they use this transparent resin.
Yes.
I just wish they'd use
which is what they did on the guns.
Yeah, which I hate.
I just struggled with the guns.
Yeah.
Like, it's really weird. Nothing would stick.
Yeah. I wish they would just use, like, opaque.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Anyways.
First world problems.
Right. Other than that, I forgot to mention the grill sets. You can buy the mesh, which I didn't, the RPG anti-tank mesh, actually comes with the kit. You can buy aftermarket Tamiya, by the way. So there's two different sets that you can buy. It's the same thing. But in the end, I used the kit one for the engine deck grills. I tried to, you can see here, maybe the camera will show, there's a lot of variation going on here.
Yeah, there is.
Grays, dark browns, and I showed in the previous episode, I do find that when you apply them, I use a sponge, you use a paintbrush, just, you got to mix it. And how much contrast do you apply is up to you. And I wanted to keep this incredibly subtle. Seen some beautiful models on the web where there's a lot of bright and dark. This time I just kept it subtle.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's probably more realistic.
I don't know, just taste. I don't know, I'm just going by the photos.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's what you feel, what looks good to your eye, what you like.
Right.
What resonates with you.
You know, I made one mistake on this.
Just one?
I was weathering. I was weathering this model, and then I said, "Oops, I forgot to put the decals on."
Oh.
Right, and then so like crap. So always put and then weather over the decals.
I did, but so would you like? Did you gloss under gloss coat or?
I did.
Yeah.
But good question. I didn't gloss the whole model.
No.
I only glossed.
Yeah, you're like me. Well, I got that from you actually.
Yeah.
Because it's too much.
It's too much.
Like the less product, the better. Like on aircraft, you have to gloss.
Yeah, aircraft.
Aircraft.
I agreed. But this one I used that gauze.
Oh yeah, the Gauzy.
I used a paintbrush. The gloss. I just paint like why airbrush? I just painted on with a brush. The gloss. You put the decals over the gloss, and then just flatten. You can't see it. So in other words, I hate cleaning airbrushes.
Yeah. Just especially for something like a small 30-second application. Yeah.
So let me just take this turret off so you can see the. See, it's hard to see in this light, but it's a little glossier here for the oil and gas or whatever it is. This part here, the driver compartment, you have to keep this off because you got to put the figure in first, and then this goes on top. And that's why this is a little bit cleaner, and I kind of like that in the end.
Yeah, looks different, right?
Contrast.
Yeah.
So if you're using figures, put the figure in first. This goes on top. Otherwise, you can't get the figure in. But otherwise, it's a beautiful kit. And you notice a little poster there? It's X-rated there. See the poster?
Oh yeah, look at that. Nice little detail.
Little poster of the pinup. I think those were kind of more common in Vietnam.
They seem to be, yes.
Right? And so I added that, and that was from it's a Playboy poster set. I think it was from the company that just stopped production, the Dry Transfer Company. Oh, my brain is dead.
Archer.
Archer. I think it was Archer. Yeah. I'm glad I have you here. And that's it.
Very nice.
We're done.
Nicely done. Yeah.
Yeah. And
long time coming, but worth the wait in the end.
Yeah. I had fun doing this. So we'll post that, and we'll have some photos that we'll take proper so you can see the details.
Now, would you do another Vietnam era piece?
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I have a artillery piece. It's a resin. I think it's called. It's a self-propelled artillery piece I got at one of the AMP shows, and that's a secret. But I'm going to get that one because I like unusual stuff.
Nice.
So I will do another Vietnam piece. Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, that's it. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for hanging out with us, and we'll see everyone next time around. Take care, all. Bye bye.
See ya.